Chair, so I will go ahead and call this operations meeting to order. And thank you for bringing up the agenda because don't have it in front of me. I think the first order of business is to approve the minutes from the last meeting. Nope, it's to elect a chair. So,
I nominate Sean Istone.
Okay, a second.
All in favor?
Sean, do you accept?
Sure.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, Istone, you can take over.
Well, all right then. Run right in. I have the agenda. Very prepared for this. So next up is approval of the minutes from the meeting that I was not even on the board for. I'm not sure who was even on the committee then. So I would entertain a motion from somebody who
I move
was
that
on that.
we approve the minutes of the 14th meeting.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. And we have our one discussion item of our audit update. So kick it over to this area to start.
Yeah, so I'm going to be real brief and just say that, you know, I've continued to try to audit or update you guys about the audit a little bit back and forth as we've worked through that process throughout the spring. It's obviously extended beyond when it typically does. Adam is here this evening to kind of share some information with you. We also wanted to make an introduction of Alan, so I'll kind of let him do both of those things and then see if there's any questions you guys have that we could address. But we just felt that, you know, it's still hanging out there and we wanted to make sure we're open with where this is at in the process.
Yeah, thank you. So this should be a relatively quick item. Happy to answer any questions that you have. I do want to start by introducing Alan Moran. He's our new Director of Financial Reporting. We're very excited. I'm very excited to have Alan on board in your second week now in the district. So Alan comes to us from higher ed with previous experience at Grinnell College, most recently, and then Cornell College prior to that, and was at RSM, which is actually our audit firm, years back. In terms of the audit, we do continue to work with them. We've provided a great deal of information and worked back and forth with our audit team over the past couple of months. 3 weeks ago, we provided the entirety of items that have been identified as being requested by the audit team, and we provided that to them. At that point, that generated some follow-up questions just here at the end of last week, and Alan primarily has been working through those. So we continue to work through that process. I think we're very, very close to being wrapped up with our portion of that, and the report creation can continue and finish from RSM's end. But at the same time, certainly something, not an ideal situation for us, certainly something where bringing Alan on board was something that I think will put us in a much better spot as we move into the FY24 audit, which will start really as soon as we wrap up the FY23 audit. And bringing his experience on, I think, will be tremendously helpful to us, along with, really taking the time both over the past year and then moving forward to document some of the challenges that we've had, make sure to try to proactively apply fixes within our system rather than being in a situation where kind of fixing things on the back end, which is more time consuming, especially if it's not a system that anyone on our current team designed. So ultimately, that's kind of a quick update. Happy to address any questions. Oh, one other thing that I did want to hit on, in terms of the impact of the late audit, we have notified the state, obviously at this point, I guess. We've notified the state that our audit is late. They are aware of that. They've occasionally reached out for updates. We've provided those as they have. We've also provided notification to all of our partners who are involved with bond management, that sort of thing, for that we will be late in preparing and delivering our annual report. So that's again something that is that's been made aware to them. We did have outreach, as I know you're all aware, from Moody's asking for our annual report. We provided them information that that's still being developed. And that's one where, again, we'll provide it to them as soon as we have it. At this point, I don't know of any impact of that. If we don't provide it by, and they gave us a 60 to 90 day period from the start of July, that could initiate a credit rating review for Iowa City Schools. Obviously something we'd like to avoid, and one of the reasons that we're prioritizing trying to get this wrapped up. Any questions?
So, I'm sorry,
Yeah.
thank you for that, Adam. So did you say the certified annual report, will we need the due date on that, the September 15th due date for that? Or
September 16th this
It's
year,
16th,
and,
okay.
and yes, we should. We're
Okay.
working on finalizing that right now.
Great, thank you.
Any questions? I was gonna ask what kind of lessons learned. You kind of touched on it a little bit of trying to be a little more proactive. So.
Yeah, I think the big lessons learned are, first of all, broadening depth of understanding of the audit process within our team. You know, that's something that I don't think it's probably a secret that really our audit was handled by one person almost entirely in previous years, and really for several decades. And that put us, you know, in a position where when we were going back to reproduce, you know, numbers, make sure that ours matched what had been booked in previous years and shown in reports in previous years, we didn't necessarily have a quick or easy time doing that. And so I think broadening our depth of knowledge on our team. Also, a number of practices in terms of more proactively updating our account codes to match up those of the states. More proactively changing coding of things like payroll or AP expenses so that we're not, you know, doing journal entries all over the place and reversing things out to extreme degrees. Those were things that really had happened in previous years. And, you know, honestly, will still continue to happen to some degree, but I think minimizing those is one of the real keys.
I kind of, you know, I live in the world of standard operating procedures for everything, so I'm just kind of, are you writing up like a how-to, like, so
Yep. So
not just keep broadening the depth of knowledge, but so if somebody else comes walking in, they at least have something to go for.
yeah, that's a great question. One of the things that we did not have in the department, except for within our payroll and benefits team, was a documentation repository. So there was no, by and large, no documentation for any process within the business office. And one of the things that we implemented last year, right around January, maybe December, was Confluence, which we use as a document management system. It's what we use within the and continue to use within the technology department for documentation, process documentation, that sort of thing, and serves as, you know, the place for documentation to live. So that's something that we started building last year. As you probably are aware, documentation takes time, especially with processes that are still evolving a little bit. And so that's something that I think the team has really jumped on board. We've developed quite a bit. There's a lot there already. But, you know, every time one of us prepares a report, the expectation is that you're also going in to ship it to Confluence and putting information about where you got your information from, what you pull in order to complete this report, where it needs to be submitted, that sort of thing.
So you make me chair, I ask questions. Good.
I think they're good questions. I mean, they're things that we've talked about as a team, right? And, you know, Adam going through this all first time, you know, 12 months. I mean, we're still in that, this was the first iteration of doing that audit. And so, of course, you know, replicating some of those procedures, you know, that he found on other items too as we went through, and just making sure we have the background knowledge, not only cross-trained, like you said, Sean, but documented, you know, just about how that is put together. So, good questions.
Any other questions from directors? Any other stuff from the admin team you want to put a bow on it?
I don't think so, not from the audit standpoint. I mean, Adam had touched on the state report. I know he's really in the thick of that. Here is, we're on September 10th, and that's due on the 16th. So looking forward to having that turned around. Then we move into, you know, state count, you know, for enrollment, and we're in our normal school year cycle. So I think that's all for now.
All right, so we move on. The only other thing is talking about our next meeting. And you had to remind me, because it was a weird week because we had a P&G and an ops. Is ops usually the 4th?
It's usually this one.
It's usually this one.
Yeah.
Okay, so
First
October 8th would be our next meeting. Do we have any suggestions of topics?
Didn't you have one we were gonna do this month that we bumped? Yeah, we're sidebarring here.
Yeah,
I think it's
sorry.
climate action. I think that's what we had originally targeted for September, and then we decided to do audit. So climate action for now.
Okay, we'll put that on there, and
Yeah.
then obviously we can figure out
Yeah.
something else if something changes between now and the 8th. Anything else for the good of the cause?
Jeff's not here, so.
We've got another meeting, so I entertain a motion to, I guess we don't even have to adjourn, do we? Maybe we do.
Yeah, move
We'll
to-
take a motion to adjourn.
Move to dismiss, or move to adjourn.
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Want to know,